Acting is a state of mind. If you're interested in an acting approach but applying it to your real life using Stanislavski's techniques, watch this video.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Right now there's not enough lighting because it just rained, so it's a little bit gloomy outside. However, right now I want to speak to you guys about acting, and you guys are super lucky. Okay, you guys are super lucky because my event has been extended into August 6th to 8th. Okay, the writing reality program. So there's more time for me to prepare and really give you guys a lot more value in terms of that as well. So if you haven't signed up yet, go and do it right now, okay? We're gonna run out of time, and then the last minute you're gonna be like, yo, I wanted to sign up for that program, but guess what? If you're not there live, you're not getting the value of me coaching you live, right? You can watch the recording, sure, you're still gonna get the value, but it's not gonna be as valuable as if you're there and I'm fine tuning it with me alongside Ivan and AZD on the final day, right? So again, it's up to you. Let's dive into this video. So acting is a state of mind, okay? I want you to have this mindset of acting is a state of mind. It's an altered state of consciousness where you are adopting and embodying a character. Now, Stanislavski, man, he goes deep into this process. I think he's the one who changed the face of acting in the sense he allowed characters less to be like the vaudeville type, you know, or the style of like melodrama. Look, man, previous to Stanislavski, like the whole acting genre or the process of acting used to be completely character acting, and the way that I see character acting is not what character acting actually is, right? Character acting is actually melodramatic. It's very emphasized. Like if someone's angry, they're balling up their fists like this. So Stanislavski didn't really approach acting in the way of archetypes and stereotypes, right? If you were to play an old man, if you were just to go, oh, hunch your like, you know, neck forward like this and have a hunched back with a cane, like, I'm an old man, right? That is not Stanislavskian acting, okay? Method acting is what he pioneered. Now, this is about naturalism and realism in theater, which again moved on to the film world, the movie world, the cinema world, where you see incredible actors take on this realistic acting style, you could say, where they're really tapping into their own emotional field. Marlon Brando is an excellent example of this. James Dean is also another incredible example of this, okay? Why are these actors so profound in their mechanism? They follow Stanislavski's approach. Konstantin Stanislavski, a very Russian man with strict ethic, code, discipline, but the way that he saw acting is very, very powerful. Now, before this, I got this from another video. I want to give you the 4 muscles of acting. And if you strengthen these 4 muscles, it's going to really, really emphasize your technique as an actor, but just as a player in the game of life, okay? Childlike innocence, okay? Childlike innocence, an ability to get into theta wave consciousness, okay? Being a child again, having that wonder, having that amusement, getting to the core essence of exploring and discovering, right? Childlike innocence. Number 2, vulnerability, okay? Vulnerability is a confidence in your own weaknesses. It's this ability to get real with yourself and get real with your emotions. Being vulnerable as an actor also means that you adopt certain frameworks of empathy and you allow yourself to feel what another person is feeling. Also sympathize with others, right? Connect with others, connect with yourself on a deeper level so that you can make a dynamic performance. Number 3, the imagination, coming from the word image. The word image comes from the word mage, okay? Imago, image. Understand what's created in the mind. The images in the mind are so important, okay? Again, in childhood, we had this skill set of being very imaginative. We could go into a fantastical world in childhood. We don't do that as adults, but we're missing that skill set. If you are missing the skill set of imagination in your life, you're going to lead a very boring life. Very mundane, very unfascinating, you could say. These are muscles, right? You have to build these muscles. If you don't have the muscle of imagination, You got to build that muscle. One way to really build up your imagination is watching a movie blindfolded. How you do this is you just listen to the dialogue that's going on in a short film, and you create the characters yourself in your own mind using your own imagination, closing your eyes, really going inwards, creating the visuals. How does it look? How does the scene look? Without even looking at what it's like and what's happening in the movie. You're creating the characters in your own mind. That will build your imagination. The last muscle of acting is concentration, okay? You have to have the ability to concentrate. We're always being told to concentrate, not how to, when we're in the schooling system. So you have to learn how to concentrate. Concentration is so important. Dharana, single-pointed consciousness, right? That ability to look at something and then look at it for a particular period of time. So you can give yourself a high score, like maybe day one, you do it only 20 seconds. The next day, you do it 30 seconds. You keep doing 30 seconds, then you get better. Now you can do it for 40, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and you can just keep going, right? You keep stacking that momentum of how long can I concentrate on one object. Some people choose to do this with a candle flame, right? But you can do it with a symbol. I like doing it with a symbol that's meaningful to you, like a yin yang or the Om or something along those lines. Find a symbol, Christianity cross if you're religious, right? Find something that is very meaningful to you. Actually, the Christianity cross is very interesting as a symbol because it's like heaven and earth, right? So this is the earth plane, this is the heaven plane. So it's kind of like the cosmos and this world connecting together, which is the cross. If you didn't know that, by the way, just letting you guys know that. It's very powerful imagery. All of these symbols I love because they're so powerful imageries, right? The yin yang, for instance, if you want to know more about that, it's moving, right? It's not stagnant like the S and then this and this, and it's always like that. It's a continuous flux of those two moving, those two energies, right? So Stanislavski believed in linking the external to the internal to the external. And I really love that because isn't that, the Hermetic principles, alchemy, like isn't he a magician, basically? Like sure you have these certain magicians like, Aleister Crowley and all these kind of guys, but I think the real wizards are Meisner, Stella Adler, Bertolt Brecht. I think these are the magicians that we need to be learning from and pulling life source, because the actors, they're interested in emotions, right? They're interested in life force energy. They're interested in portrayal. And what Stanislavski did, which kind of changed the game, is he's not so interested in the representation of the actor, like, oh, how does he look? How am I trying to be somebody else? But he's embodying. Okay, he's embodying emotional experiences, which is the core of method acting. And if you see this chart from Stanislavski, I'm going to put it up right here. You notice how deep it goes. Okay, he talks about the will. He talks about the subconscious mind. These are things that we talk about in personal growth, but we haven't really seen it in this way before, have we? On how we can optimize personal growth with theater. And this is what I'm here to do. One of the things I'm here to do on this planet is to share this information with you guys, to help you be the best character you could be in your own life. There are a few other channels out there, talking about theater or talking about psychology or talking about flow states. But which channel is putting all of them together? This channel right here. So Stanislavski believes that your body is a tool. It's an instrument, okay? You can shape it. Your breath controls the instrument, like you're tuning the instrument. He also believed that you got to be almost like an athlete, right? You got to be fit within your body. You got to be flexible with your body. So doing things like yoga, right? Doing things like calisthenics, doing things like dance gets you to this plasticity of motion, he called it. Okay, he called it a plasticity of motion. And isn't that quintessentially the flow state? A plasticity of motion? Doesn't that sound very similar to being in the flow? Is you have this plasticity of motion. You have many different kinds of expression with your body. Not just one, but you have a whole, smorgasbord of it. You have an entire landing strip, an entire buffet of expressions that you can choose from. And they're all genuine and authentic. Stanislavski really believed in this idea of warming up. And I believe a lot more people need to warm up before they do things in their life. If you're going to go to an interview, if you're going to go out one night with your friends, if you're going to speak to somebody that you've never spoken to before, you need to warm up. Think of it like social lubrication, right? A weird analogy, kind of vaguely sexual, but try and understand this, okay? You need that social foreplay before you go and do something in the real world. So this idea of warm-up that Stanislavski approached the world as, it's like you're doing these tongue twisters. Betty butter, butter was too bitter, so Betty bought some better butter to make the bitter butter better, right? You know how long I've practiced that? That's why it rolls off my tongue like that, okay? Now, if you try to do it slowly at first, it's gonna be awkward, right? Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter was too bitter, man. It's not gonna work, right? Well, it's gonna be clunky in the first processes when you try these theater exercises. They open up the vocal cords, they open up the soul, I would even say, go so far as to say that. They open up the little muscles and the joints of the body, these weird theater exercises, right, that I used to do back in the day. Have you guys ever had this? It's like you go into a theater class and somebody's yawning and like lifting their arm up. Someone's in a weird yoga asana in the corner. Someone's going, hey, 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 hey. Like they're doing all these weird things, right? And you're wondering, what the heck is going on here, right? You first walk into a theater classroom or an improv class, you're gonna scratch your head like, I don't know, man. These people are kind of weird, right? That's why you had the trope of the drama kid, right? I understand that because I used to be a drama kid. I understand that trope and that nature of what that's like, but really starting to break that down and apply that in your real life in self-improvement is a whole different ball game, right? But these weird, embarrassing tasks that you did with the group in your theater troupe or in rehearsal time, you understood, riding on my little white pony, riding on my little white pony, and like zip, zap, zop, and all these weird ass games, right? So those games actually crush the ego down. Or it makes you feel ridiculous in the moment, but what it does is just ego death, right? You're just, I'm not me anymore. I'm just a part of this activity, which is this fluid activity. But these warm-ups, they're warm-ups, right? They get you going, they get the blood flowing, they get you into a release phase of the flow cycle, okay? So once you understand that, oh man, I'm letting go with these warm-ups. Now you can do these warm-ups by yourself. You can be a complete goofball at home, but once you leave out into the real world, you're gonna have a little bit of that hidden goofiness within you that's subconscious because you've warmed up. And now it's so easy to just make a little funny voice or funny gesture and just have these witticisms at the back of your hand like a bunch of playing cards that are just there for you, right? A Batman utility belt, as I gave an analogy in the previous video. Then we have gestures. Stanislavski believed that gestures are more about what we choose not to do than what we choose to do. There's a lot of actors that have weird fidgeting gestures while acting, and that's a total giveaway. Stanislavski called these the stock trade of amateur dramatics, okay? That was his way of kind of like schooling these people who are still doing these awkward gestures. Like, I know my awkward gestures. The more I become conscious of them, the more I can control them. It's almost like making a use of the energy that's within your beingness wanting to express itself. So you're finding the patterns in between how you want to say something. So this would be like posing or exhibitionism, right? It's like an exhibition. You're like trying to show off. You're trying to show that, oh, look how cool I am. Trying to get the results or land the gig or get the audition, rather than actually finding the root and the core of the living life of the actor or the character. What are some gestures that you want to avoid? Grandma legs, which is kind of like you're shifting back and forth. You're rocking with your legs, one side to the other side, frontwards and backwards. Maybe you're stepping forward and stepping back. Maybe you're doing a bunch of like exaggerated hand gestures next to your face all the time. We all have our little fidgeting things, right? Our little idiosyncrasies as we perform. I know I blink a lot, for instance. I look off into space, into the nothingness and the cosmos like I'm channeling. I do that quite a maybe you've noticed it in these videos too. I do that quite a bit. I love to use hand gestures, as you notice in these videos. How I depict myself, that comes from being in the hip-hop world and rapping, right? Constantly, you know, rappers, they use their hands to keep that flow, keep that momentum, keep that fluidity going. So it helps me with my spoken word, if you want to call it that, to actually express myself in that way. Another one where you just start fidgeting with your hands. A lot of actors, they don't know what to do with their hands, so they'll just kind of like, you know, do this thing or this thing, and then they'll just play with something that's bothering them, or it's just a way to deal with the nervousness. It's a self-soothing mechanism. So I've noticed a lot of people do this, especially when they're out in public. Maybe their hands are fully in their pockets, maybe their arms are crossed, they're not expressing themselves fully. So just making a note of these different gestures gets you to open up as an actor, to avoid certain actions, to actually open you up to other actions. So how does the movement tune up the attraction of the actor? You're not being clouded by superfluous or purely irrelevant or theatrical gesticulations. This is how Stanislavski describes it. You want to love yourself in the part more than love the part in yourself. Okay? So this is the real key of Stanislavskian naturalism or realistic acting. You love yourself in the part or the role more than you love the role within yourself. Like, you're not using the character as some kind of like Postmates delivery guy, right? Or an Amazon delivery guy. Like, here you are, here's the character I'm playing the bad boy, and here I go. Now it's funny, even Robert Pattinson noticed this in an interview, that a lot of people use method acting to play the asshole, right? To play the character that's not really stereotypically liked, in a sense, because it's not them, so they're playing a persona of them. I almost imagine it like the darker side of Peter Parker as he takes on the symbiote of Venom, as he becomes much more darker, emo type of character in the second movie, right? So what is a technique that Stanislavski used? Emotion memory, okay? It's very common. You use your own memory to tap into a specific emotion for a scene, okay? Now you can do this not just with negative things, which I don't want you guys to go back and like think of like, oh, when my dog died, and you know, try to cry if you're trying to be emotional. I think that's kind of pointless in real life. But what I can recommend you guys do is look at your past success and the reference experiences of your past successes, where you felt expansive, you felt the greatest, right? You accomplished something or you did something great. Go back to those memories and notice how you felt, and then use them in the now as you're communicating with others, as you're going about your day. That's what's truly going to help you, this emotion memory technique for your daily life. It almost will set off a firework in the head. It's what we call tapped in the beast process. Then we have someone who came along like Chekhov, who believed in this idea of psychological movement, where you would do a specific physical action that would set off a specific memory. So notice the physical attributes of your character. Are they going to move more slow? Are they going to move fast? Are they going to have a mix of both? Or do they have any physical deformities or disabilities, right? It all affects the character and the way that you're going. It's very important to consider what is the ultimate version, like my final form, right, of my character, and how can I pull the strings from that and bring it into physical gestures. Like, let's say you have a thing that you do where you salute. That's got to be cool according to your character. If you just do it like you're trying to copy somebody else, like, hey, salute, man. It's going to look nervous. It's going to look awkward. It's not going to match you. There's going to be a lack of congruence, essentially, when you try to do that. However, if it comes off as very natural, it's going to be cool, right? In the end of these videos, I do that legendary because I've done it so many times, it just matches, right? But if I try to do it for the first time, it's going to look awkward. Again, when you try out acting, right? When you try out acting different roles, you're going to look a little bit clunky. But it's about shaking off the rust. The magic if, this is a Stanislavski approach. The magic if. He believed the word if is such a powerful word. Now, we can use this in the negative. What if something bad happens, right? What if I don't get into the seminar on time? What if that person judges me? We can use it in the negative, or we can use it as a technique. If this situation were really happening, how would my character respond to this? If this was really happening, how would I feel like? So as you start to incorporate the if question of what if I were to respond to this moment as if I were my best self? What if I was to respond to this moment as if I was my most loving and wise self? What would I need to do to relax if there was a danger in the set or the scene? You see, this will start to slowly evolve your brain. And as you start to do that, that plasticity of motion will create a neuroplasticity, which is your brain changing, which again creates a theatroplasticity, which is my book, okay? Which is the method that I incorporated and created, and it actually made me survive college times, okay? That's how I got a lot of the successes during that time in my life. Now, when you're looking at a play and script writing, there's a lot of people who will try and decode the script, but a lot of it has to do with subtext and what's beneath the script being said. Let's say that the statement is, I don't like that, or whatever. But underneath it, there's a kind of a tone, right? That's being, I don't really like that. Is that what they really mean? That they don't like that? Or are they teasing and it's almost like a bit of a joke, right? So again, in the tonality, the subtext will come across. You can say the same sentence, but underneath it, there's got to be a subtext of what you truly mean. For instance, if you're talking to someone and you want them to be attracted to you, maybe you're saying, I want to get into a relationship with you, right? That's what you're saying, but you're saying the word of, hey, that's a cool watch, or whatever, right? Let's say that it's hey, that's a cool watch, but underneath it, you're saying that, hey, I really like you. They're gonna tell that you like them, right? Women can pick this up very magically. They're masters of subtext. They're the cosmic detectives, as I mentioned earlier. Guys, we gotta train in this muscle. You say, hey, you know what? I really like that watch. Underneath that statement, there is a, I really like you. So this is how you want to understand. This is subconscious embodiment, right? Communication that's happening in the invisible world. So once you can master that, you will become unstoppable in the real world. And this is what I want you guys to learn. If you want to learn more techniques like this, again, our program covers a lot of this information, but more amplified, more personalized to you. And I hope you have an incredible day. I hope you enjoy this video. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Boom.